We're involved in a lot of projects. We could spend hours on each one, and product development and the technology platforms, etc. However, I have prepared really a highlight presentation, so we can focus down on the key aspects of what the company's been doing in the last year, and from that you should be able to predict what's going to happen in the future. Obviously, there's the classical disclaimer. Read it if you will. We've been forced to, but I wouldn't recommend anybody else do it. So, okay. The big issue for OBJ, or where we find ourselves this year, is up until 2013, we were really a technology development company in many aspects. We were working with partners to get an understanding of how our technology platforms could be incorporated into products and provide commercially relevant solutions for them, thus generating revenues. 2013 has really seen quite a significant shift from what is effectively R&D into working with our partners to develop solutions. And these are market-focused solutions. So we've gone beyond the technology platforms, and now we're in the solutions business, hand in hand with some of the largest companies in the world. We still remain absolutely focused in the cosmetic and skincare area, are clearly areas that we can bring a great deal of value add. A lot of our commercial business is focused on that. Consumer healthcare is another area that we are focused on, because we now have the ability to create solutions to problems rather than technology alone. We have grown our strength and our capabilities in that area through the year. As we said, oral healthcare started approximately 3 years ago, I suppose, as a very broad concept of, wow, wouldn't it be great if? We've now gone beyond all of that. We've covered so many ex vivo and first-in-human studies. As we've announced, there is a major human clinical study to be conducted in the UK, just showing how much progress we've made in this oral health. We'll touch on that in a minute. And pharmaceuticals. We still are keeping relatively away from long-term, deeply expensive pharmaceutical activities. We quite like what's called the over-the-counter, short gestation periods, large volumes. The big end of town in the very heavy weight pharmaceuticals is still an area that we will hold back on, in preference for rapid to market, higher turnover, consumer-based products. So that's really where we are. It really is absolutely consistent with the story we gave last year and the year before. And in fact, there is an absolute sequential program that we have moved through, where we have achieved every one of the goals we've set ourselves with every one of our clients. And I'll just now touch on each of those that I think will be interesting. Clearly, Procter & Gamble are foremost in everybody's mind. I mean, Procter & Gamble are the world's largest consumer company. You virtually cannot open your kitchen cupboard or your bathroom cupboard without being inundated by Procter & Gamble products. They have over 2,000 of the world's biggest selling SKUs. Our relationship with Procter & Gamble is an exclusive area within their beauty and grooming group, and that is divided into 7 subcategories, and we're working with those. Skincare clearly being the foremost one that we're moving forward with those. We have completed the first of 3 clinical studies, and in fact the most important with Procter & Gamble. Before you ask, no, I can't tell you what the outcomes of those are, because the clinical results are not OBJ's property. However, the outcomes have been sufficiently engaging for them that we have now moved forward into negotiations regarding possible product development for the first application of OBJ's technologies across the P&G product range. Hope to be able to expand on that in public announcements shortly. The next one that was really quite recently, the Coty and Philosophy programs. The Philosophy clinical program, it was a very large one in the US, is now complete. Again, the results are not ours. I can't share it with you. However, I think you can clearly see that the results have been sufficiently engaging and encouraging that we are now have moved forward. And Philosophy and OBJ are currently in negotiations for a development program which will lead on to a licensing agreement from there, relatively advanced on those sections. So those two major clinical events that we announced earlier in the year have achieved everything that OBJ wished to and have been sufficiently encouraging that we are now engaged with these major parties on how you now turn those into products. As I just mentioned earlier, oral health. Oral health is potentially a very big area for us because the technology lends itself so easily to the toothbrush business. There have been no major changes in manual toothbrush technology in probably the last 40 years. This will be the very first. We have done multiple ex vivo studies. We've done first-in-mouth pilot studies. All of those have been encouraging the whole length and have encouraged GSK to commit to a rather large human clinical efficacy study. As Glenn said, we had expected that to have commenced by now, but there are hold-ups with the English ethics groups, but they are just temporary things. We expect to go on that any day now. We're very enthusiastic about this space. It's really where OBJ's technology can change people's lives. We may have mentioned before, 1% improvement in fluoride uptake into teeth will save 1 million children's teeth in Australia alone. So we think the level of enhancement we get starts to make serious social impacts. GSK Pharmaceuticals. This is a development that has moved quite rapidly for us. It is an over-the-counter pharmaceutical area. We previously announced that we were working with them on a phase 1 optimization program where we were applying OBJ's technology to an existing GSK formulation. They were having trouble competing in the market with the performance of their product. So they came to OBJ. We have now completed that phase 1 program, and that is now moving forward to negotiations and an expansion into a much larger phase 2 development program with GlaxoSmithKline. Very convenient one because GSK is moving that division out of the US into Southeast Asia, much closer to our home ground. Means I won't have to spend quite so much time on aeroplanes in the future, which I think is great. So that's another one area that we're moving very, very forward with. Our own products, the Bodyguard. George will be doing a separate presentation on this, but really 2013 has seen a massive movement forward in that. We're very excited about that, and I think you'll share that enthusiasm once George has finished. I'll try not to steal any of his thunder, but this is a very serious clinical program under the supervision and guidance of Professor Tony Wright. We are making this a world-class event, and George will tell you exactly where we are and why we're so excited about those things. Other events during the year, they're the primary ones that everybody's mind was on. Coty, P&G, GSK, and our own products. Just other things so you can get a sense of how we've grown through the year. We've now appointed a new operations manager. Now that we've moved into the solutions business, it's essential that we have the resources and the capabilities in-house to be able to satisfy our partners' manufacturing capabilities. Spent most of last night on phone call to an overseas company trying to work out the logistics of producing products with OBJ's technology. So we're seriously growing our strength in these commercial step areas. We've really grown our test models and expertise because of our ability to influence partners, something that we learned, I suppose, last year. As we were allowed deeper and deeper into these multi-billion-dollar companies, we really did realise that OBJ's technical strength was actually quite significantly superior to their own, and these are the biggest companies in the world in this space. we are now being asked to support those development programs much stronger because we can offer a speed of results and a capabilities that's beyond the vast majority of our partners now. So we've moved not only the technology, but the development steps, all chargeable development steps, so we can turn our lab from a research centre into a profit centre. So we've grown that strength and capability through the year quite extensively. But in spite of all of those things, if you look at our expenditure, we've been able to maintain that irrespective of our growth. We're still considered one of the most conservative expenditure companies. We're very careful about what we do with your money because we believe it's a valuable and finite resource. We waste nothing. And of course, the recent capital raising with Dirk and the help of our loyal supporters have now really put the company in a position where it has sufficient capital resources to now really drive these areas home, especially with such exciting projects as George and the level of support we're getting from our partners. Again, keeping in mind that all our partner activities are fully funded. They put up the checks. The days of us investing in partner activities are gone. It's now joint funded. They're paying the bills, and that really changes the economic dynamic. So we can focus on how we turn that into strong and sustainable cash flows, so we can grow the value that underpins the work of OBJ. So in a nutshell, that's what we've done with your company during 2013. It's been a terribly exciting period, and I think there's some very near-term stuff that I think we'll be very happy with, that we'll be very, very keen to announce as soon as we possibly can. Any brief questions on that before I get you all excited and signed up for George's program?
Oh, just building up.
Okay, well, anyway, I'll be here afterwards, so any question, if you want to see what we do with products and how we're going, we're more than happy to engage in any of that. George?
Fine, no.
Oh, thanks. No worries. Oh, no.
Good morning, everyone. For those that don't know me, my name's George Zillis. I'm in charge of the Bodyguard project. And as Jeff said, I want to give a bit of a, loose update to where we're at, and maybe just a short introduction as to the reasoning for the project. So we'll just move along, Jeff, and get straight into it. The disclaimer, as Jeff said, is all there for all to see.